Welcome to Fandom Facts, and listen closely because this psychological story is not just something you hear. It's something you feel. She didn't grow up believing love was loud. She was raised by struggle, shaped by hardship, and driven by a hope she could never explain. And because of that, she learned something most people miss. She learned how to read what wasn't being said. If you've ever survived more than you were meant to, if you've ever felt something shift before it happened, this story is for you. How women emotionally read early dating signs. She knew before he did, before he realized anything was happening. She already felt the shift, not because she was guessing, but because women are wired to read emotional patterns long before words catch up. In early dating, her instincts turn quiet but sharp. She notices how his tone changes, how quickly he responds when there's nothing to gain, how his energy feels when the conversation slows. These aren't overreactions, they're emotional signals. Curiosity keeps her watching, not questioning. She listens more than she speaks. She senses whether his interest feels steady or performative, whether his presence brings calm or uncertainty. Small behaviors tell her everything: consistency, effort, emotional availability. Her gut reacts before logic steps in, because it's been trained by experience, not imagination. While he's still figuring out what he wants, she's already reading the emotional weather. And in that quiet awareness, she knows whether this connection feels safe enough to grow or destined to fade. Why women notice small changes in men so early. Women notice small changes early because emotional shifts speak louder than explanations. A message that used to feel warm now feels rushed. Eye contact that once lingered now disappears too quickly. His tone hasn't changed enough for anyone else to notice, but for her, it's unmistakable. This isn't overthinking. It's emotional pattern recognition. Her alertness comes from experience. She's learned that big changes always start small. A pause before replying, less curiosity in his questions, a distracted presence that wasn't there before. These details register instantly because women read emotional consistency, not just behavior. She doesn't confront it right away. She watches. She compares today's energy to yesterday's. Her mind stays quiet while her instincts stay awake. Because when interest shifts, it reveals itself subtly first. And by the time the change becomes obvious to him, she's already understood what it means and begun protecting her emotional space. The moment a woman senses emotional safety, everything inside her softens. There's no rush, no pressure, no emotional chaos. Her nervous system relaxes before her mind even understands why. His consistency feels steady, not intense. His presence feels calm, not unpredictable. And for the first time, she isn't bracing herself for disappointment. Relief settles in quietly. She notices that she doesn't overthink his words. She doesn't replay conversations looking for hidden meaning. His actions match his tone, and his attention doesn't disappear when things slow down. That consistency tells her more than affection ever could. Hope follows naturally, not the reckless kind, but a grounded one. She feels safe enough to be present instead of guarded, safe enough to trust the moment. Emotional safety for a woman isn't about perfection, it's about peace. And once she feels it, her heart begins to open without fear. How women read intentions without asking questions. Women don't need to ask where things are going to understand where they stand. They watch. Words are easy, but actions reveal intention. He may say he's busy, but she notices whether he still makes time. He may promise effort, but she measures follow through. This is where suspicion quietly turns into clarity. She compares what he says to what he does when no one is watching. Does his effort stay consistent? Or does it appear only when she pulls away? Do his excuses sound reasonable or repeated? Women read intentions by noticing patterns, not explanations. She doesn't interrogate him because questions can be avoided. Behavior cannot. Every choice he makes sends a message about priority, interest, and emotional availability. Over time, the confusion fades. What remains is truth, clear, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. And once that clarity arrives, She adjusts her emotional investment without needing a single answer. Why women pull back when something feels off. When something feels off, a woman doesn't panic, she pauses. The shift is subtle, almost invisible. A missed check-in, a joke that lands wrong, a change in emotional tone. These micro red flags don't scream danger, but they whisper uncertainty. And women are trained by experience to listen. Fear shows up first, not as drama, but as awareness. Her body tightens, her trust slows. She may not have proof, but she has a pattern forming. Instead of pushing forward, she pulls back to protect her emotional space. This isn't manipulation, it's self-preservation. Self-respect guides the distance. She knows that ignoring small discomforts leads to bigger wounds later. So she watches, she waits, she creates space. If clarity follows, she returns. If inconsistency grows, she continues pulling away. Because protecting her peace matters more than chasing reassurance that may never come. How women test emotional consistency in early dating. Women don't take words at face value, they watch patterns. Every text, every call, every promise becomes data. They notice if he shows up when it matters or only when it's convenient. Emotional consistency isn't about perfection, it's about reliability, follow-through, and presence. She may test it subtly, suggesting a plan, sharing something personal, or observing how he responds under pressure. Each action reveals whether he's emotionally present or just going through the motions. Small lapses aren't ignored, they're recorded. Over time, she builds a map of his intentions, his priorities, and his respect for her emotional space. Caution guides her approach. She wants to invest, but she evaluates first. Emotional inconsistency is a signal to pause. Consistent effort signals safety. And in these early tests, she decides whether to open her heart fully or hold it carefully, waiting for proof that he can match her emotional rhythm. The silent signals women use to measure emotional interest. Women don't always ask directly if someone cares, they watch quietly, noticing the signals that reveal true interest. It's in the little things. Does he remember what she said last week? Does he match her effort in conversation? Or does she feel like she's carrying the emotional weight alone? These silent signals speak louder than words. She observes how present he is, how engaged he becomes when she shares something meaningful, and whether his attention is consistent or fleeting. Listening patterns, thoughtful responses, and small gestures all reveal whether he values the connection or simply tolerates it. Hope drives her attention, but restraint keeps her measured. She wants to believe, but she waits for proof. Every consistent signal increases her confidence, while every lapse triggers caution. In the end, women rely on these quiet, subtle clues to decide whether to invest emotionally or to hold back. Why women decide so early if you're safe or not. Women don't make judgments lightly in early dating, it's instinct, shaped by past experiences. Every emotional scar, every betrayal, every disappointment becomes a guide. Before a word is spoken, she's scanning for safety. Her nervous system remembers what hurt her before, and it reacts faster than conscious thought. She notices how he handles small conflicts, whether he respects boundaries, and how his energy aligns with his words. These early interactions tell her whether she can relax or if she needs to stay guarded. Vulnerability comes with risk, so she moves carefully, weighing each signal against the emotional map she's built from past lessons. Safety isn't about trust, yet it's about survival. If she senses instability, she distances quietly. If she senses respect and reliability, she allows herself to lean in. In her early assessments, experience and instinct meet, deciding whether a connection can grow or quietly fade. How women know when a relationship has potential. Women often sense a relationship's potential long before it's defined by words or labels. It isn't about grand gestures, it's about emotional rhythm. She notices whether being with him brings peace or tension. Does she feel calm in his presence, or does her mind race with doubt? Emotional stability is the first signal that a connection might last. She watches how challenges are handled. Are disagreements respectful or draining? Does he show care consistently, even in small moments? These patterns signal reliability, trust, and the possibility of growth. Anticipation grows when she feels safe to be herself without masks, when vulnerability doesn't feel dangerous. That subtle combination of peace and excitement tells her this is worth investing in. Women can sense it intuitively. When emotional anxiety fades and calm, consistent care remains, she recognizes that the relationship has the potential to deepen and endure. What women feel before they fully attach emotionally. Before a woman fully attaches, there's an invisible tug-of-war inside her mind. Her heart feels drawn, yet caution whispers reminders of past hurt. Every interaction is weighed carefully. His words, his effort, his consistency. She asks herself silently, is this safe? Can I trust him with my emotions? This internal debate creates tension. She craves closeness but resists recklessness, testing whether he matches her emotional rhythm. Small gestures, quiet attentiveness, and reliability become the markers she studies to decide if surrendering is wise. The tipping point arrives not with a grand confession, but with subtle proof, moments of calm, care, and unwavering presence. That's when tension shifts into surrender. Her heart opens fully, not blindly, but because she has measured, evaluated, and felt secure enough to risk attachment. For women, emotional closeness is earned, felt, and carefully given. And here's the part most people never realize. By the time a woman stops asking questions, she's already answered them. If this story felt familiar, it's because it wasn't just psychology, it was lived experience. So stay with Fandom Facts, because in the next video, we uncover why women notice emotional changes long before men do, and how one small shift can change everything. Don't just watch, understand.